Okay, here I am at Cooter's garage, and yes, we are looking at Adam's Rubicon up on the lift. And man, does it look good. Right off the bat, I noticed his Evo rock rails. Those things are stunning. And you can see they're welded onto the frame. Wow, those look good. So let's see what else is going on. Oh yes, he is not messing around. He's got a beautiful Dynatrack. This must be the Pro Rock 44. You can see Dynatrack's very famous ball joints right here. He's running an aluminum tie rod based on the color of the drag link right here and the track bar. Looks like he's running some metal cloak. We can also see some brackets up there for an engine skid plate, which is removed right now. Looks like all his armor is off because here's the normal gas tank skid. Right here, metal cloak, adjustable control arms. These could be Rancho, I'm not sure. These skid plates right here, not sure about that. Metal cloak rear track bar relocation bracket. You can see he has new brake lines, longer sway bar end links. So what's going on here? Well, this Rubicon locker is going to come out, and Cooter's going to install some 513 ring and pinion gears. I believe he bought Dana Spicer to match the 513 gears that he pre-ordered in this assembly right here. So really, really a nice front axle. Really looks beefy. So kudos, Adam. I don't know if we're going to start this tonight, but really nice to see this Jeep up on the lift. Terrific.
Axle shafts.
We're looking at DJ's front axle. Look at this piece of hardware right here. So it's here because Mike and Colin are going to do a shave kit down on the bottom right there. But the beefiness of this axle, the welding, what he has for skid plates on it. Let's just
Stuff that needs to be done to
come around this side right here just to look at how beefy this thing is. And this is going on DJ's what, buggy?
Yeah, it's buggy. It's two buggy.
So he's building a buggy. Been working on it for a while. This is the front axle. You can see the ram right there. Look at the armor around it. Really impressive. And of course, DJ's new vehicle that he's building is also going to have a rear steer. So he's going to be pretty amazing out on the trail with this thing. All right, Recon Jeepers back down at Cooter's garage. You can see the Power America cleaning system is up and running. Colin's taking care of business. Whoa, look at that, huh? This is how you wash a car. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Anyway, I'm down here today because we're going to be doing some work on Adam's Jeep, one of our friends and club members. We're going to be taking out the rear locker, and it's getting a regear in the rear end. Why just the rear end? Because Adam bought a Dynatrack all set up with 513 gears in the front, so he's got that all set. So Cooter and I are going to be working on the back of this Jeep. Okay, Adam, a look at your locker. Here we go. Looks good. We'll end up taking these bearing caps off. I'm going to go around the other side and undo the electrical plugs very carefully, set up a light, and we'll undo the plunger switch. I guess we don't need to take that off, but we do have to unplug that the solenoid harness right up there in the top. We'll get that off. And then, of course, we'll have to very carefully undo the electric. We'll pull that wire that you see right there up through and unplug it. You guys have seen this before. And then we'll mark the bearing caps, left, right, top, bottom, etc. And then we'll be pulling this carrier out. We're going to be taking these tires off. See, does he have a lock? Does not look like he does, so we'll get these wheels off, take these caliper adapter brackets, rotors, pull the axle shaft. So that's what we got going on. So you can see that Adam has some type of big brake kit. You can see that the caliper looks beefier, at least the adapter bracket. You can see the rotor, let me back out, is very, very large. And obviously he runs the spacer ring. See the spacer ring right here? I run those too. He's got carbon axle shafts. So I'm gonna go get that other tire off. Okay, in about 20 minutes, we have the axles pulled out and marked. Both sides all set, ready to rock. So Adam is putting in Adam's rear drive shaft. So this drive shaft will completely come out. So I'll be putting the transmission in neutral so I can access these bolts right here and undoing this flange as well as up here in the output of the transfer case. Okay, Adam, you can see that your drive shaft is out. Obviously there'll be new yokes going in there. The axles are out. We're probably going to lower this, and the electrical plug seems to really be in there tight. I don't know if this was out before and some silicone or something was put in there, so we're going to gently work that so we can get it out of the housing. Then we can undo the solenoid wires off of that plug that go down into the solenoid. You can see we're just trying to work that plug. For some reason, it's really in that housing tight. The bolt is out, and it just has very, very little movement.
O-ring in there?
Yeah, one O-ring.
You know what? There's a flange on the back side, so you really can't grab it. There's a piece of casting material there.
Parking brakes.
Maybe we work that screwdriver down. Well, yeah, you got movement. You got movement. Nice. Let's get some more oil in there. Oh, you got it. You got it. Yeah.
Hit that with some oil while I jiggle it a
Right
little.
there,
I don't want to take my hand off here because I got a good bite on it.
Yep. Just hit that with some oil. Man, that thing is stubborn. Wow. To clean that out. You're only going to get, when it does break free, you're going to be surprised. They give you like 1 inch, inch and a half of wire. Kill them to give you a little more, I guess. Stubborn.
No, it's there. It's out.
There you go.
You got it?
See how much slack they give you?
It looks like there's some copper anti-seize on there too.
Strange. All right, so at least we got a good area to work on it. All right, happily, we were able to get this plug out. Nothing broke. You can see the little locker plug right there, and Mike has the piece. So everything's intact with the feed-through plug, so no worries there. So the next thing we'll be doing is marking these bearing caps with a punch. Top, bottom, left, right. I can't remember if these are 18 or 19, but we'll put the gun on them and we'll pull this carrier out. We're gonna lift this, I think we're gonna lift the Jeep a little higher though. All right, so the bearing caps are all loose. Mike's taking them off.
Is it adjustable or no?
Very typical with the JK, one big shim on each side. And the gears, is, like Mike said, is even on mine, not much preload. The carrier just kind of comes out nice and easy after the bearing caps are taken off. You can see he's going with Spicer gears, 513. Got it all set up. Okay, so he bought the Adams rear drive shaft. This is the U-bolts for the rear end. This is going to go on the output of the transfer case.
Nice feature of these shafts, it comes with these dynamic poly balancing blocks that rotate around and they kind of self-center.
Yeah. Now, this double card and U-joint, this is 1350, huh? Sure looks big right here.
Yeah, that's a 1350.
Beautiful, wow.
So that'll match up. Now this is very common. This is a Ford setup. So that's a very common Ford.
Bolt pattern.
1/2 inch bolts. I think it's 4.5, 4 1/4.
Yeah.
bolt circle 2-inch pilot.
So there you go.
Attached like that.
Right there to the output of the transfer case. And then the U-joint down on that end, that's what the U-bolt.
Single 1350.
Right here.
Nice shaft.
Yeah,
Looks good.
yeah, probably 7 something, I would guess.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure.
All right, nice job, Adam.
All right, so Cooter and Cooter Jr. made a little modification to the clamshell carrier bearing puller, or multi-purpose clamshell bearing puller, last week. After the last, if you recall, the last JK video where we had to cut off a carrier bearing race because we blew it apart because my clamshell did not fit under the cage. Now normally this clamshell will go under and pull on the inner race. Ideally it would grab from here. But when we go over to the JK, you'll see because of the electric solenoid clutch to lock the diff, excuse me, dying here. To lock the diff, you can't get under this lip. There's a spacer ring in there.
Correct.
So it's
Yep.
smooth. It's the same. So what I did was I took the clamshell. I talked to a buddy of mine, Carl Jantz. Can I have a shameless plug for Jantz Engineering?
Chance
This
Engineering.
man's amazing. I
right,
talked
man.
to him on the phone.
Super Jeep.
Called him and said, hey, Carl, you must have done 1 or 2 of these. He goes, I've done hundreds of them, Mike. He goes, this is what you got to do. He goes, there isn't a clamshell that he's aware of that fits it really well. He said, take yours, the closest one, open up the ID so it fits around here, and go to town. So now you can see, obviously it's on upside down. The bearing would be in there.
But you can see there's some grab there.
Now the only thing I haven't tested, because I didn't have a JK diff with a bearing on it, is whether or not this is too thick to fit in between the bearing and the solenoid. But you know what? In real time, let's go find out together.
So what Mike's talking about is you can see the spacer right underneath the bottom of the bearing. And that's why we weren't able, when we did mine, to get that clam shell underneath there to pull the bearing up and out. So that's what Mike was talking about, that he modified it.
Let's hope it works.
Okay, over here at Cooter's Garage, you can see that they got the Bridgeport going.
I was going 40 thou at a time. So
And they're basically doing some milling
that's
on that
not- what
shell
is that,
tool
10?
to thin it out a little bit.
Go 20, 30, go 40.
Okay, looking at these numbers, you can see Dana 41-8. And you can also see the part number 2018-757. But if you take that 41 and divide it by 8, it comes out to 5.12. So just verifying that this is a 513 ring gear. And it is. Also, the gear has an 08 engraved in it. And when you look at the pinion gear, you can see the 08. So this is the matched pinion gear to that ring gear. After some machining, Colin and Cooter modified that so that it's a little thinner. They removed some material so they can get underneath that bearing.
Well,
right, Mike?
it started out looking like that one. See how thick that is? We took off about 120 thousandths. Hopefully it works.
Terrific.
Hopefully.
Meanwhile, over on Adam's JK, we took out the pinion. Here's his outer bearing. So next we'll have to pound out the race. So very good. We're making progress here. Not bad.
Thank my friend Carl. I have to give him a call and say thank you if this works.
Yeah, if it
If it
works.
doesn't work,
To hell with him.
I'll call him and say thank you. He's a good dude.
All right, you can see this set screw is set up on this. It's underneath the bearing. Now he's setting up the socket and he's gonna rock and roll and hopefully it'll pull that bearing off and the solenoid will come off.
OSHA approved hearing protection.
Yeah, it's gonna get loud.
Actually, it's right here. So, Colin, why don't you step away for a sec? Yeah, I'll just.
That's your new tool for the JK.
That's what a happy Cooter looks like.
That's nice, man. Worked out perfect.
Yeah. Goes what would happen if you didn't put that in.
So here's the spacer that was on this like so, and that's what makes it so difficult for the clamshell to get under the bearing. So now we're just going to put this right over here because that gets reused, and you'll notice now this solenoid should come off. And there it is. See, there's the solenoid. You know, the last time I looked up one of these, I thought it was about $335 or $380 for this locker solenoid. There's that plate that goes on the dog, see? Spring tension. Obviously, we're going to be taking that all apart and then taking the other bearing off. Oh, it's going really well.
So you need the outer race. If you put this on without it, you'll just blow the bearing apart.
Okay, so the race is important.
Race is important.
Then the modified. This is the modified.
This side you don't need the modified.
You don't need it but that's fine.
And see, I already forgot. We need the inner.
That big piece just drops right down in the center, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
That's just a spacer.
Yep.
And what we're gonna do is run this bolt down. Tom, do you have the oil right there, or hit me with a little penetrating oil?
Right there. Yep.
Just hit the thread down there.
So you're just seeing him set up this tool right here to pull the second bearing off.
So what you want to do on this one, even before you put this on, this inner one, if you don't run this collar down, let's run it back up so you can see. See how that's loose?
Yeah, so you gotta run the collar down.
So what I usually do is just put my hand on that and run the collar down. This will keep the race from lifting.
Nice and flat on the bearings.
You can actually feel it as it gets tight, and then it'll actually start to raise this up. That's fine. You don't want the collar to be able to lift up, which would allow the cage to spread. This goes under, and then the outer one, I'll usually just hold it.
Yeah, and you're just tightening up the outer one to keep some tension on it. Okay. Yeah, see that? So there's two separate collars.
I'm there, so I'm up against
one collar
the
goes
inside.
down to hold the race flat. The other collar goes up against the shell. Okay. Yeah.
And then the other half of the shell.
And then there's a little set screw that goes in.
And then there's the blue ring.
Holds it all together with a set screw.
Keeps everything from coming apart. Setup is really quick with this, so I mean it doesn't take more than a minute. Not even. You just snug that down.
All right.
And then load it up.
Go for it.
I'll have to get the setup bearings out.
Just basically undoing all the bolts. That ring gear will drop down.
It's funny, sometimes on these, they're not even pressed on. A lot of times they just fall off.
Yeah, I usually keep one on anyway, just so it doesn't.
Now his kit came with new bolts.
Yeah,
so we don't
yeah,
have to
two
use
different.
those.
I think it's the exact same kit that we used on mine.
Yeah.
Gives you some options.
So
Goes 410 gears off. You can just see I took the races out. So the outer race, I punched that out. I'll show you what the race punches look like. That's relatively easier. It's a lot, in my opinion, easier to knock the races out than it is to seat them, to seat the new ones. But so they're out. Yeah, we got new race drivers. I'll just show you what the punch looks like. Mike has a kit. You can see it right here. So it just goes in there, and you put it on the lip of the race and whack the shit out of it with a sledgehammer.
just all the sizes I did not have,
Yeah.
I now have.
So these, so I'll be using.
I think in 1810.
I'll be using these to put the new races in.
A little wave in this could cause some kind of run out.
Mike's just making sure there's no burrs on the new ring gear. Yeah, it's,
And you can see a couple little marks in here. You can see where it's shiny. So maybe it does something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't.
All right, so the so the inner bearing, this is the race that I punched out. That's going on there. So now we're going to set up the shell and pull that bearing off, and we're anticipating that there's a shim underneath there between the actual gear and the bearing. Look at that, Dana Spicer 513 gears.
Yeah, you can hit them with brake cleaner if you want, because what we got to do is I got to put some Loctite on them.
Make sure it's seat.
Yeah, brake cleaner's right there, Colin.
Just make sure there's no unwanted something on there.
Just took some brake cleaner, cleaned Adam's e-brakes really good. Get rid of some of that gear oil that got on them. What the hell? There he is. Yeah, so you can see Mike's got the ring gear lined up, and he's just getting the Loctite ready for the bolts. Colin cleaned them with brake cleaner because we will be putting Loctite on them, as you know, and torquing them. There we go. Also, Mike has this prep to pull the bearing, the inner bearing off of the pinion.
Thank you.
There's a shim under there that we need. All right, disassemble of the tool. The bearing is pulled off. There's the race. There's the bearing. And the piece we wanted right there. That shim right there, pinion shim. Okay, so
Want to measure this one, Colin?
good stopping point. We'll see what the thickness of that shim is with a micrometer.
Sure.
Mic it up. See what you got. Oh, I'm sorry.
Also, just as a note, the JK ring gear torque specs. We used our snap-on torque wrench. All those bolts for the ring gear were torqued to 135 foot-pounds, 135.
Let's see if we got it.
So that plate went in on the dog ears. Now the solenoid. Next will be the spacer. There was a little burr on the spacer from the bearing removal. Same thing happened in mine. So we're just getting rid of any burrs on that spacer. That'll drop in next. Then bearings could get pressed on and the carriers in the go position.
All right, now I got 50.
And then in regards to the axle housing, I got to get the race punch and install the inner and outer races, and then that'll be in the go position. Yeah, right. So you can see that. So there's a seal right here. That's fine. And Mike and Colin just took the nut off of this, gently tapped the yoke, and it came right off. It does have a big, thick gasket in it, but that thick gasket does not get used on the new Adams flange. You can see it right here. There's no big slot for that big gasket. So
Cooter Jr., hand me a tape
put
measure.
silicone on the splines. Probably a little Loctite on the nut, and then that thing will get driven home right on there.
So, standard Ford pattern, 2-inch male pilot to center the shaft, 4 1/4-inch bolt circle. So a very standard pattern for a Ford F-Series front drive shaft.
Okay.
A lot of aftermarket stuff uses that because it's just common.
In this case, rear drive.
I'm going to Cooter paw this thing.
Yeah.